The courtroom was packed, every seat filled with people eager to see what would happen next. At the center sat the wealthy woman in her designer dress and diamond necklace, her face fixed in a smug smile. She leaned back in her chair, rolling her eyes every time the opposing lawyer spoke, as though none of this mattered to her. She had money, connections, and confidence that the judge would side with her like always. Across the room sat the man she had wronged, a middle-class father who had been fighting her for months. She had tried to take his land, using her influence to push him out with false claims and endless paperwork. He sat quietly, his hands clasped. His expression calm, but his eyes filled with years of struggle. The lawyers went back and forth, but the rich woman barely pretended to listen. She whispered to her assistant, smirked, and even yawned once, loud enough for the crowd to notice. Finally, the judge lifted a stack of papers, the official ruling. The room grew still. The woman crossed her arms, looking impatient. Certain the outcome was already in her favor. The judge began to read, his voice even, his eyes scanning the courtroom as the details unfolded. Each point laid out the lies, the fraudulent documents, the intimidation she had used. The smirk on her face faltered for the first time, but she quickly rolled her eyes again as if none of it mattered. People shifted in their seats, sensing a storm coming. Then the judge reached the final page. His voice dropped lower, firm, carrying a weight that silenced even the whispers. Therefore, this court not only rejects the defendant's claim, but also finds her guilty of perjury, fraud, and harassment. Gasps filled the room. The woman's face turned pale, her hands gripping the table as if she could hold back reality itself. The judge continued, "All assets tied to this case are awarded to the plaintiff, and the defendant will face sentencing." The woman shot to her feet, shouting, "This is ridiculous! You can't do this to me!" But the gavel came down hard, echoing like thunder. The courtroom erupted with murmurs as the father bowed his head in relief, tears in his eyes. For the first time, the rich woman had no power, no words, and no escape. The final line had ended her reign.